Welcome to JM Youth Forum, a place where we shape the next generation. Place where we discuss issues like relationships, career and business advice, education and religious matters, and much more. So sit back, watch, and be informed. Your host is Laban Bethi.
Greetings once again. It's an honor, it's a great privilege to have you this evening. And we thank God that He has enabled us to meet again. He has enabled us to share together. We were here last week. We discussed quite a number of things. And we thank God for such a moment once again to be able to share to you wherever you are. So feel much welcome. Be ready. Just sit down somewhere. Get to listen and get inspired. You see, this message and this word comes to bring a change. The reason why we are doing this all the time, it is for us to be able to bring a substantial impact by the end of the day. And wherever you are, get ready. Always have a reason why you have to secure your time to be able to listen. Have a reason why you always have to secure your few minutes. You see, any time that you spend in something should add value. So wherever you are, as you watch, as you pass the message to somebody, have a reason why you are fixing your schedules for such a session. So we welcome you. And once again, I'm joined by my friends who are not so new to us, as we have been having them time and again. And they have been men with great wisdom, men who have traversed in various things, men who have got quite enormous experience in the things that we always discuss here. And we are glad that you always find time to come. So we appreciate you. And we are looking forward that this thing that we've already begun, it is going to reach to so many people, because we have found we've sacrificed our time, we sacrificed our resources, our knowledge, and our ideas to be able to inspire so many people. So last week we discussed about the youth and leadership, how the two get to intermarry. And being that we touched a bit on the aspect of leadership, I thought today, being that we in a way touched on leadership, we could now be able to expound now the leadership in length, still touching on the youth first before it gets to the other people. So that is our key emphasis for today. That we are looking at a generation that we are going to grow leaders. And you see, when you grow somebody from when somebody is just growing from the young age, it becomes easier for them to stretch. Other than try to equip me wakati, rather the time that I've already grown in age, and that you are trying to fix something that could have fixed while I was still young. So it is a time when we want to grow our young people, we want to grow our youth, we want to grow you who is watching wherever you are, and we want to have a society that is going to have great leaders. But now, if you see any great man, he did not just wake up to be great. It means that there is a substantial input. There is great input that he has made in his life to be able to be where he is. So that is our key emphasis for today, and that is what we are aspiring to get by the end of the day. But now it's good for somebody to be able to understand the leadership per se in regards to the 21st leadership and what it all entails and what it all encompasses. And I believe we have much insight on the same today. So as you watch, just welcome my panelists today, just to say hi as we kick off and as we get going. Yes, from my far end, welcome my brother.
Thank
you. You can talk to the audience.
Yeah, thank you so much, viewers. I'm Isaac Kitano, as usual. Yeah, and we're here again to talk much about leadership and the youth. And today, stay tuned. I know you'll get something from us. Yeah.
Karibu sana, my brother.
Thank you so much. My name is Martin Donyo. It's always a pleasure to be on this show, to share the knowledge and the experience that we've had, and to impact this generation and hopefully impact by extension the coming generation. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much. We thank God for you. So just to go direct to what we've just highlighted, I'd like to help somebody to understand the leadership in the 21st century. That even as we get deeper in this discussion, we'll have a foundation. That is where now we are beginning. Maybe now if I can just begin with you, Isaac, if you can help us to define, rather to understand deeply leadership in the 21st century, and help somebody somewhere who is just maybe try to think about it and how it's all about. Yes.
Leadership in 21st century.
Yeah.
I don't think whether there is a difference between leadership in 1800 and leadership today.
Yeah, sure.
There is not much difference in definition. But how we handle the leadership, it's what makes it different, because of the aspects that we are having different from then. So the other time we define leadership as simply influence, and influencing people towards a goal. There is an end goal that you want to achieve at the end of the day. So that remains to be the definition of leadership, just influencing people towards, influencing resources, influencing people towards a goal. But now the difference comes in with in the 21st century. It is the things that are happening different from, but the basic is that leadership is just about influence and influencing people. Yeah.
Maybe if Martin, maybe you can give an input on the same.
I might be a bit academic, although I want to avoid that. But like Isaac has said, the core definition might not change so much. But those that have studied leadership, they are what we call styles of leadership. There's what we call authoritarian or dictatorial, and there's the authoritative, and then there's laissez-faire, the one that tells you do what you want and nobody takes you to account, and then there's the democratic. And so basically, I think what has happened over the years is that society has moved from the authoritarian gradually towards more of the democratic. So much as the core of the definition and the meaning of leadership might not have changed, but we are now focusing more on a democratic style of leadership
Yeah.
in this current generation, the 21st century. And so, like Isaac has said, the core definition hasn't changed much. At the end of the day, you have to influence. But then, how do you influence? So that when we talk about the authoritarian, it is more about power. It is more about me. You see? In the past years, it was, even systems of government was more about kingdoms, where the word of the king was law. It was final. But you see now, most societies are democratic. And what, even those that have, there's a new term that has been coined of the benevolent dictator. One that, yes, stamps his authority, but for the good of the people. So I think, yes, it's all about influence, but how do you influence people? That is now what matters. And that is, I think, what we are going to discuss here. How does the 21st century leader influence people? Yes.
Wow, that's interesting. So this one means there are essential traits that define this leader
Yes.
in the 21st century.
Yes.
And it means for this leader to be able now to be recognized of impact, there is a certain way that he or she must operate, and that there's a way that this person must get equipped, that he is going to make a substantial impact by the end of the day. And there are traits that a leader needs to embrace in this journey to be able to bring that impact that we are talking about, to be able to bring that influence that Isaac has just highlighted. And there is somebody who is thinking, what kind of traits do I need for me to be effective as a leader? What kind of traits do I need to incorporate in myself? I know there are quite a number of them, but as somebody, you see, last week we spoke about the leader now leading himself. There's a trait that I need to embrace to lead myself. Now we are talking about growing a leader who is going to make now impact in the society. There's a trait that maybe is in a way different with what we talked about leading yourself, and now a trait that somebody has to incorporate now to lead and make impact in the world. So which are these traits that me as a leader, as a young man, I need to incorporate for me to be able to make impact in life, for me to make a notable impact that somebody can look from afar and is able to realize that there's quite a great impact that is coming for me. Maybe if I can begin with you, Martin.
Now, if leadership is about influence,
Yes.
then you have to relate with these people that you're going to influence.
Yes.
And I think at the end of the day, now that will dictate the character, the characteristics that should come out of you. And I think the topmost one should be empathy. Now, empathy is a situation where I put myself in your shoes. Quite different from sympathy.
Sure.
I pity what you're going through, but I might not fully appreciate it. So for you to be an effective leader, you have to be empathetic. So this is maybe my staff, and maybe I can just use an example. You know, there's a time, I think somebody once said, when we employ people, we don't employ gender. We don't employ a man or a woman. We employ you based on merit.
Sure.
But the truth is, they are women and they are men.
Yes.
And so maybe there's a way for you to be empathetic as a leader. you'll have to approach women at the workplace different from the men. Sometimes, depending on the nature of work, there are some responsibilities. For example, the security guards, or even the people that work at petrol stations. If you're keen, rarely will you find a woman in the night shift. You see? Why? Because as a leader, you realize that the nature of this stuff does not, it would not be very wise and empathetic of me as a leader to tell this woman to go for night shift as a security guard, for night shift as a pump attendant. But on the flip side, hospitals, you have nurses that do night shifts. You see? So empathy, that at the end of the day, I relate, I understand this is not just a staff member, but then can I relate with them more personally? Will it be convenient and comfortable for me to place you on this shift compared to placing another person on this shift? That's just one example. So at the topmost, empathy. Yes.
Wow, that's quite good. Maybe Isaac, you can be heard some of the top of that.
Yeah, I'll add on what he just said, but I will just make reference of a training that we've had. I'm a youth leader in church, and there's a time my pastor, and he was training us on the discipleship, and that and there are some points that he brought out so clearly that is required of a student or a disciple to have 3 characters or 3 traits, and he was like abbreviating it into FAT, being fat. And fat means faithful, being available, and be teachable. This, he was teaching us on being disciple, a follower or a student. But these are characters that you need to carry along in your life, even in your leadership, because you don't remain to be a follower. When Jesus was training the disciples, he never trained them to be disciples, always. It came a time when they transited to be now the leaders, the apostles and the bishops, and then so because of that, the traits that they got during their classwork, during the time of training, the same traits they are able to transit with and carry them along in the next stage. When you talk of being faithful, it's whatever has been entrusted to you, how do you take care of it? You are accountable for this. I hold it so dearly. This, I know I'm a steward. It does not belong to me. I'm serving on a high authority.
Yes.
So this thing, if it's people or resources that have been entrusted to you, how do you take care of them? So it's about being a steward, a faithful steward. Number 2, when you talk of available, as a leader, first as a student, you are available to be taught. You are available to get knowledge and everything that is required. And even when you transit now to be a leader, you also need to be available for your subject or for your people that you're leading. Number 3, about teachability, it's about adding knowledge. How teachable are you? None of us has ever graduated or has never learned enough. All of us growing. Yes. You need to gradually update yourself. We are talking about leadership in 21st century. We say the definition might not have changed, but the styles and the formulas of leadership have changed. So if you continue applying the 19 leadership styles in 21st century, then you are misplaced or you might get it wrong. So you need to continually update yourself. As a leader, you need to get know people, know how things are happening, the technology and so many things that are happening. So you need to be teachable and update yourself with the knowledge.
And I think what Isaac has said is very key, because I think that joins what we discussed here previously, that leadership starts from the individual. So until the individual is fat, faithful, available, teachable, he cannot graduate to a position of leadership. Why? Because leadership begins with the individual.
Very true.
So that the rest of us are only influenced by what you have already achieved as an individual. So that now we look at Laban and say, I think I can follow Laban because Laban has achieved something. And also it's very key, a statement that is usually made, that you can never be a leader until you are led. Very important.
Sure.
You can never be a leader until you are led. And I think what is very key, even in the 21st century, for any person that is serious about leadership, is that you must always appreciate that you don't know it all.
Sure.
So that as a leader, at whatever capacity, there has to be a high authority.
Sure.
Actually, somebody said that the most dangerous man is one that has no authority over them.
Yeah, very true.
The most dangerous. So that regardless of whatever level you are in, there has to be somebody that you are accountable to. Very important. So by so doing, then you safeguard yourself, because traditional leadership was about power. How much power can I amass? And that's why there were the crusades, where people would go and conquer more lands, you know, more territories. That's why they were building empires,
Sure.
you know, and that's why our grandfathers were getting more wives.
Yeah.
Why? Because it was a sign of power. But in the current setting, in our current society, it is more about authority, not power. So that you might find somebody that might not have the trappings of power, but they are very influential. What we now call social media influencers, they might not have a lot of, some of them are very young, some of them are still in university, but they influence people in a certain direction. They get people to buy certain products. Now that is leadership.
Sure.
Why? Because there is influence. So 21st century looks at authority. How much can you get people to trust you? How much can you get people on your side to look at things from your perspective? Then that calls for authority as
Well,
compared to
what you
power.
just said, Martin, it means that even with what Isaac has said,
Yes.
mentorship now
Yes.
the teachability
Yes.
is very crucial now.
Very. So actually they are all now interconnecting.
Yeah, sure.
They are all interconnecting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then another
Because
thing-
it's mentorship. Out of mentorship, you become fat because you are tested on your fatness through mentorship. Then out of that, then you become a better equipped leader.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
So now, I read somewhere about emotional intelligence, and I realized that as a leader, you need to be, the emotional intelligence aspect has to be very high for you to be able now to achieve much as a leader. If maybe you see there's somebody who does not even know what is emotional intelligence and how such is very important, that somebody is a leader and how it can help somebody. Maybe before we get to deeper on the same, we can help somebody understand what is the EQ, that is emotional intelligence, and how how it is very much important in the life of a leader. Yeah, maybe you can begin with your Martin.
Now, in the current generation, EQ has taken a more predominant place compared to IQ.
Yes.
IQ is what is referred to as the intelligence quotient. What is your mental ability? But even with mental ability, for example, you can have a very brilliant student in school, or in class,
Yes.
who cannot fit in the marketplace simply because he does not have the ability to relate with others.
Yeah.
So with all his brains, he is ineffective in society. Why? Because those brains cannot excel in a vacuum.
Yeah.
They have to be associated with other people. So emotional intelligence is very key.
Sure.
How do you respond to situations as compared to react?
Yeah.
You know, those are very key things that it is more effective when you respond to situations. For example, you step on my toe. The most natural thing would be to retaliate, either insult or hit or step back.
Yeah.
But now, if you are emotionally intelligent, there are so many things that will go through your mind before you take that action.
Yeah.
Was it intentional? Was it accidental? If it was intentional, how do I respond? If it was accidental, how do I respond? Okay? Even if it was intentional, then the most automatic thing would be to ask for an apology or to retaliate, to hit back. What does it do? Does it help the situation? Does it make it worse? Emotional intelligence. I'm trying to avoid being academic. You see? How do you interpret situations? Okay? If I call you and you don't pick up, I call you again, you don't pick up, I call you again, how do I interpret that? And how do I respond rather than react to it? So that the next time when you are calling or you pick my call, do I start by quarreling you? Or do I start by asking, how come you have not been picking? Because there are so many reasons why somebody might, and I'm just using that as an example. There are so many reasons why somebody might not pick up your call. So emotional intelligence is a lot about how you perceive things, how you react to those situations, so that, or you respond to them, so that you become effective in whatever you are doing, and more so in relating to other people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe I think it has been touched deeply, and I would want to ask maybe Isaac something different. I realized that being a leader, there's a very key component that as you lead people, you must be having. You must have an idea of where you are going. That is, you must be visionary in a way.
Yeah.
Why is visionary a very key component when somebody is a leader? Why is it so much important that me as a leader, I must be visionary? Because I cannot lead people where maybe I have not been. It's similarly to prayer. I cannot call people for prayer and lead them to a place that I've never been. So why is it so much important and a key component while I am as a leader?
Yeah, vision is very key for leadership. Leadership is very key for any organization.
Yeah.
Because I think I quoted a scripture in our previous talk show, and I said, where there is no vision, people perish. So you expect a lot of wrangles, you expect a lot of fight, and eventually that's what the Bible calls death. People perish, like perishing. There's no movement, there's no growth, because there's no place where you look in this. And I said vision is always, whenever you enter into any organization, institution, you always find vision somewhere up. That is to remind you that despite we may be having problems down here, but there is something that we need to keep our eyes focused on. There is a place where we are going.
Yeah.
So for a leader, vision is very important. Because number one, when you're a leader, you may not be the one who came up with the vision. Probably you are a manager, but you are leading people towards that vision. So number one, a leader need to be visionary, that I know where I'm going, I know where I'm taking people, even if it's a written down vision by the company, but you are there, you need to be able to break that vision down to the people that you are leading. So you must understand the vision first, because as you said, you can never lead me to a place that you've never been. So I need to understand the vision as a leader person. Just like the president, we have a new president right now in our country. He must understand where we are as a nation and where we are going. And even if he doesn't understand the whole, there is an advisor. We have advisors. The people who are going to equip him with knowledge. The constitution, where we want to be, where, like, there are things that are guiding us. So a leader must be able to understand that vision and break it down to the rest. When you talk of vision, again, it comes with creativity. Because if, let's say, you go into to Nairobi from Mombasa, and you just check into your pocket and I don't have much. Probably going to Nairobi is 2,000, and I have 1,500. Can you just improvise a way of getting to Nairobi with 1,200? Probably the SGR is 1,000 or whichever. Just breaking it down into finding a way on how you're going to achieve the same goal, but probably using a different mean. So you must be creative. I'll give a story of a young lady. She just was very keen when her mother was cooking, especially fish. And every time the mom was cooking fish, it's a story that I read in a book called Creative Thinking. Every time the mom was cooking fish, the mom would cut the head and the tail of the fish. Every time. And this lady was like, okay, mom, every time. And then she asked mom, why are you cutting the head and the tail of the fish? And the mom told, I don't know, but I found my mom doing the same. So fortunately, the grandma, now the mom to the mother, was alive. So she went to the grandma. Grandma, why are you doing this? Cutting the head, chopping the tail of the fish. Said, I also don't know. I found my mom. Now that is a great grandma doing the same. And fortunate, the great grandma was there. Then this lady went to that grandma, and she asked, why are you cutting the head and the tail of the fish? I said, I was doing so because my sufuria was small. Like it could not accommodate a big fish.
Not
So
fish inside.
yeah, it could not fit. So I had to chop the head and the tail so that it can fit in that small.
Yeah.
And you see, sometimes we always find ourselves in a routine of doing things, but we never question ourselves. We are not creative enough.
Yes.
This lady became a leader, because I know after that the story was not continued, but I know the generation that came after, they were able to follow her.
Yes.
Because she knew, like, this part was not because it's bad, but it's because somebody followed, because of they are doing the right thing, so we follow. So a leader must be creative. You must be able to ask questions.
Yes.
And no, and it's always from the vision where you want to go, and then you are able to question even some of the people that went ahead of you and some of the things that are happening. So creativity comes now under the vision. If you have a vision, then there is a song by Sauti Sol. Sema mtoto akizaliwa anakuja na sahani.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So whenever you are given leadership, there is grace. There is grace now to provide for that. So God gives you ideas.
Yes.
So the vision itself, there is a place you're going. Always, God will always provide resources, people, only for you to be sensitive to understand the things that have been aligned with that vision, and they are always there. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Isaac, for such an input. As we come to a closure, we thank you, our listener, for remaining tuned for those few minutes, and we greatly appreciate for that. Maybe as we finish up, I just want our panelists to be able to mention just a few places apart from the individual self where leadership is practiced, where leadership is of great importance. You know, it might be in any setup, any organization. Maybe if we can highlight a few, so that somebody will know why this one is a very key component. That is now the leadership, and in which areas is of great importance. Yeah, Karibu.
I have always believed that every one of us is born a leader. We are all leaders. What society does is that it makes the difference between the quality of leadership, whether one will become a great leader or a poor leader. Why? The fact that you chose to wake up today in the morning and leave that bed was an aspect of leadership. The fact that you chose to dress the way you dress was an aspect of leadership.
Yes.
So we are all leaders. Why? Because we have to make decisions. Because that's one of the most key things of any leader, to make decisions.
Yes.
Now the question is, what kind of decisions? Are they leading people to perishing, or are they leading them to success and prosperity? So we are all leaders. And so where does leadership apply? Across board.
Sure.
You go to kindergarten, you'll find a child that influences the others. You find them playing in the estates. There's one that is always the hero. There's one that is the bully, a leader by their own right.
Sure.
And there's one that protects the others from the bully, a leader in their own right. So leadership is what in very big English is called ubiquitous. It is everywhere. It cuts across from the individual to every aspect of society. Okay?
Yeah.
And so at the end of it all, because you have to make a decision, then you're a leader. Now the difference is, what kind of a leader are you? Are you a good leader? Are you a progressive leader? Are you one that brings positive vibe in the society, or negative? Yes. So I think leadership cuts across.
Sure. Just to add something on that, where leadership is needed, need to be informed why we need leadership. I said leader first breaks down the vision to the people.
Yes.
Leadership gives direction. That's why I just quoted the verse and said, where there is no vision, people perish.
Yes.
So I don't think whether it's a place where people want to perish. And because we don't want to perish, that means leadership is needed everywhere.
Yes.
So leadership, again, it's able to, it gives order. Like where there is leadership, there is order. So leadership, it means it's just needed everywhere. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Martin and Isaac. It's a deep discussion that is helping people to understand that leadership is a very important component in the life of a young person who is growing. It's a very important component for somebody who wants to go far in life. And there are so many people who have never known why leadership is very key. That is why you realize that maybe in institutions you get to collide with people when you are leading them in the right direction. You get to collide with people in church setup, in various places, because you see where this person is supposed to be, and they are not even able to know that they need to get to that place. So I know with these great illustrations, there is somebody somewhere now, or even, you see, we are putting this message online every time. it might benefit somebody now, or maybe in years to come when somebody gets to feel, or rather to listen. And I know these are very important discussions, and we cannot take every minute that we spend with you for granted. And thank you for the great wisdom that you always give over here, and having that passion to come and meet the life of somebody. You see, as you go to any institution, just like when we go to church and somebody preaches to us, they come with an objective that I'm going to change the life of somebody. I know the same we are coming with an objective here that a listener somewhere is going to be changed. Somebody will take a different course of direction in his or her life. So we truly appreciate for that, and we thank God, and we thank you, our viewer, wherever you are. It is a great honor having found that time, having listened, having taken the notes, and changing the course of your thinking, that your life is going to be transformed. Your life is going to be changed. Not basically in the institution's level, but before you go to change any institution, it means that your life has been changed for the best. So we want to appreciate everybody for having found that time to catch up with us. We are JM Youth Talk Forum. Remain tuned every Monday from 8 p.m. where we come you live from Mombasa, Kenya, and we are going to be coming to you every week. So remain tuned. You can share this message to your friends, your family, and all over the world, that somebody somewhere who is struggling to understand about leadership, who is struggling to know how to be visionary as a leader, somebody whose emotions have influenced them negatively. They don't know how to be able to go where they want to go. So be that good steward who is going to take care of a life of somebody, and you are going to add value. Every association adds value. So make sure that any association that you keep is going to add value to you, and is going to influence people who are within your closet. So we are going to end at that point today, and we are going to come back to you next week on Monday at 8 p.m. at night. So thank you so much, my friends, that is Martin and Isaac. We are glad that you've come. So maybe you can just leave a word to our viewer in 2 seconds. We begin with Isaac. Can just leave a word to our viewer as we end this session.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking your time to just come and listen to us, and for the time that you always share. I know this is more about the youth, the generation that is coming.
Yes.
And I just want to say something to you, a young person who is somewhere and always having a certain perception on leadership, because there is those who think leadership is for the old. No, leadership is not about age. Leadership is not about gender. Leadership is not about status or size of the body. Leadership is what is inside you. As Martin said, we are all born leaders, that is. We just need to furnish with that skill, that leadership inside us. And I think through this, it is going to shape you to become a good leader, and much more. Probably you can ask, probably you have some question through the numbers that are going through your screen down there. You can just contact us, ask any question about leadership. We are here for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Martin, maybe in 2 seconds.
I want to speak to you as a fellow leader, now that I have already informed you that you are also a leader by your own right. The fact that you are able to make a decision and take full responsibility of that decision, that it is very key that you become conscious of the fact that you are a leader, regardless of status, position, and I think it's very important to note that as a young person, you are not waiting for leadership to happen. You are not waiting to be the leader of tomorrow. You are a leader right now, right there. So learn to take well thought out decisions, and also learn to take responsibility. Even before you become accountable to anyone, be accountable to yourself. What is your vision? Where do you want to go? What do you want to achieve? Then hold yourself to account on that aspect, so that at the end of it all, remember we said in our last show that you only influence us because you have achieved some milestones as an individual. So what exactly are you doing to lead your own life, to shine a light upon the rest of us, so that now we can be influenced by you? I wish you all the best as a leader, leading yourself and eventually influencing the rest of us to see the greatness in you and following it. All the best.
Well, thank you so much. Bye-bye. See you next week. God bless you. Yes. Asanteni sana.
Thank you for always having us.
How can a young person be consistent when I just out?
You see a person doing or behaving a certain way, it is out of information. You dress like you think.
Yeah.
You talk like you think. Out of what is inside here, the fullness within here, that's what the mouth speaks.
Yeah.
So what you have in your head, you behave like that.
What do you understand by social media?
Yeah, social media, it's a platform. It's a connecting platform.
All right.
Just as the word goes, social media. It's a platform for mostly socializing. It's a media of exchanging information.
To be inspired, be ready to be transformed, be ready to get something great, something that is going to change you. Be ready to receive a word for you.